A new beginning. Emma had always dreamed of a simple, happy life. Growing up in a small town, she believed in love stories that weren't grand or dramatic, but full of warmth and companionship. When she met Alex, he seemed to be exactly what she had wished for: kind, soft spoken, and reliable. He wasn't the type to stand out in a crowd. In fact, he preferred to blend in, avoiding attention. But to Emma, his quiet nature was comforting. Their romance was swift, but sweet. Alex never spoke much about his past, but Emma didn't mind. He was there when she needed him, always making her feel safe and cherished. He worked an unremarkable job in finance, and though he never shared many details, he provided well for them. His eyes, a deep shade of brown, often carried an unreadable depth, as if he held onto thoughts he never voiced. But whenever Emma asked about his life before they met, he would smile and say, "It's nothing interesting, trust me." Their wedding was a modest affair. Emma's closest friends and family gathered in a quaint countryside chapel, the air filled with the scent of fresh roses. Alex had no family present, which she found odd, but he explained that he had been on his own for years. "My past isn't important," he assured her. "Only our future matters." For a while, life was peaceful. They moved into a cozy house on the outskirts of the city, surrounded by tall trees and quiet streets. Emma spent her days working at a local bookstore while Alex continued his job, occasionally traveling for work. Their evenings were filled with simple pleasures: home-cooked dinners, old movies, and conversations about their dreams. But despite the normalcy, small things nagged at Emma. Alex never had old photos, never mentioned childhood friends, and never spoke of past relationships. He rarely used social media, and when she once playfully suggested looking up his name online, he quickly changed the subject. One evening, as they sat on their porch watching the sunset, Emma decided to ask again, "Alex, don't you ever miss where you came from? Your family? Old friends?" He hesitated, his fingers tightening around his glass. "Some things are better left in the past, Em," he said softly. "You're my family now." There was love in his voice, but also something else, a trace of fear, or perhaps regret. Emma let the conversation drop, but a strange feeling settled in her chest. She didn't know why, but in that moment she realized something important. Alex wasn't just a private man. He was hiding something. Little did she know, her quiet, ordinary husband had a past far more extraordinary and dangerous than she could have ever imagined. And soon, that past would come knocking at their door, shattering the peaceful life she thought they had built together. Strange clues. At first, Emma ignored the little things. She had always known Alex was a private man, and she respected that. But as the weeks turned into months, small oddities began piling up, forming a pattern she couldn't ignore. It started with the late-night phone calls. She would wake up in the middle of the night to find Alex missing from bed. The soft hum of his voice would drift from the living room, low and urgent. When she asked him about it, he would smile and say, "Work stuff, nothing to worry about." But Emma found it strange. Why would a finance job require hushed calls at odd hours? Then there were the messages. Alex was never the type to be glued to his phone. But lately, he kept it close, never letting it out of his sight. His phone would vibrate, he'd glance at the screen, and his expression would shift. Sometimes tense, sometimes unreadable. If Emma asked who it was, he would brush it off. "Just a friend," he'd say, slipping the phone back into his pocket. But who were these friends he never talked about? One evening, while folding laundry, Emma accidentally knocked over Alex's jacket from the couch. As she picked it up, a small slip of paper fluttered to the floor. She grabbed it and frowned. It wasn't a receipt or a note, just a series of numbers and letters, scrawled hastily in black ink. Coordinates? A code? Her heart pounded as she stared at it. Curiosity turned into concern when Alex began disappearing without explanation. He would leave early in the morning, saying he had a meeting, but sometimes he wouldn't come home until long after dark. When Emma called, his phone would go straight to voicemail, and when he returned, his excuses were vague. "Got caught up in something," he would say, avoiding eye contact. One night, Emma decided to test him. She pretended to be asleep and waited. At exactly 2 a.m., Alex slipped out of bed, grabbed his phone, and left the house. Heart pounding, she peeked through the curtains and saw him walking quickly down the street, his shoulders tense, glancing over his shoulder as if he was being followed. The next morning, she confronted him. "Alex, where were you last night?" He froze for a fraction of a second before forcing a smile. "Just clearing my head. Couldn't sleep." Emma wanted to believe him, but the nagging feeling wouldn't go away. Something wasn't right. Her husband wasn't just keeping secrets, he was living a double life. And soon, she would find out just how dangerous that life really was. A hidden past. It was a chilly afternoon when Emma's world tilted on its axis. She had just finished her shift at the bookstore and was locking up when she noticed a man standing across the street. He was tall, dressed in a dark coat, and had the kind of presence that sent a shiver down her spine. At first, she ignored him, thinking he was just another passerby. But when she started walking home, she realized he was following her. Her heart pounded as she quickened her pace. The streets were nearly empty, the winter air biting against her skin. Just as she was about to turn the corner to her house, the man called out, "Emma." She froze. He knew her name. Slowly, she turned to face him, her fingers tightening around the strap of her bag. "Who are you?" she asked, her voice steady despite the unease crawling up her spine. The man studied her for a moment before speaking. "You need to be careful," he said. "The man you're married to, he's not who you think he is." Emma felt a cold wave of dread wash over her. "Excuse me?" The man took a step closer, lowering his voice. "I can't say much, but Alex isn't just some quiet, ordinary guy. He's dangerous. And if you don't start asking the right questions, you're going to get caught in something you can't escape." Emma's mind raced. She wanted to dismiss the man as crazy, but something about the way he spoke, the urgency, the certainty, made her pause. "You're wrong," she said, though doubt crept into her voice. "He's my husband. I know him." The man shook his head. "Do you?" He pulled a crumpled photograph from his coat pocket and handed it to her. "If you don't believe me, look into his past. Look beyond what he's told you." Emma hesitated before taking the photo. Her breath caught as she saw Alex, only it wasn't the version of him she knew. In the picture, he looked younger but sharper, more dangerous. He was standing next to a group of men, all dressed in tactical gear, all carrying weapons. When she looked up, the man was already walking away. "Wait!" she called out. "Who are you?" He didn't turn back. "Someone who used to trust him," he said. "Don't make the same mistake." Emma stood there, gripping the photo tightly, her heart pounding in her chest. Her husband was hiding something, and now she had proof. Digging for the truth. Emma couldn't shake the stranger's words. The photograph burned in her pocket, a constant reminder that she might not truly know the man she had married. That night, as Alex slept beside her, his breathing deep and steady, she lay awake, her mind racing. She needed answers. The next morning, after Alex left for work, she sat at their kitchen table with her laptop. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard, hesitation gripping her. What was she even looking for? Alex had always been so careful about his past, never mentioning family, childhood, or even old friends. But now she had a lead, the photo. She zoomed in on the image, studying the details. The men in the picture weren't just posing casually. They looked like a team, a unit. Military, mercenaries. And then there was Alex, or whoever he really was, standing at the center as if he were the leader. Emma took a deep breath and began her search. She started by looking up missing persons, scanning through archives, hoping to find something, anything that would connect Alex to another identity. Hours passed as she clicked through articles, frustration building. But then, just as she was about to give up, she found it. A decade-old article from a high-profile business magazine. The headline sent a chill down her spine. billionaire's son disappears without a trace, presumed dead. Her hands trembled as she clicked on the article. The story detailed the mysterious disappearance of Nicholas Hale, the only son of Richard Hale, a powerful real estate tycoon. According to reports, Nicholas vanished after an alleged kidnapping attempt. Authorities believed he had been taken for ransom, but no demands were ever made. A few weeks later, investigators found evidence suggesting he had escaped but had chosen not to return home. His family searched for years, but eventually, he was declared legally dead. Emma scrolled down, her heart pounding. Then she saw the photo. A younger version of the man she had married. The same sharp jawline, the same piercing brown eyes. The resemblance was undeniable. Her hands went cold. Alex wasn't just hiding a secret, he was hiding an entire identity. Her husband was Nicholas Hale, the missing billionaire's son. Emma sat back in her chair, her mind spinning. Why had he run? Why had he erased his past? And more importantly, was he still in danger? A noise outside made her jump. A car idled near their house, its engine rumbling softly. She peered through the window, her stomach twisting. A black SUV. The same one she had noticed a few times before, parked near the bookstore, outside the grocery store, always just far enough to seem like coincidence. But now, she knew better. Someone was watching them, and they knew she was getting too close to the truth. Confrontation. Emma sat at the kitchen table, staring at the old newspaper article on her laptop. The name, Nicholas Hale, felt foreign on the screen, but the photo told her everything she needed to know. Alex, her Alex, had been lying to her from the beginning. She heard the front door open. Her heart pounded. He was home. Forcing herself to stay calm, she closed the laptop just as Alex walked into the room. He looked the same as always, casual, composed. But now she saw him differently. Who was this man she had married? "Hey," he said, setting down his keys. "You okay? You look pale." Emma took a deep breath. There was no easy way to do this. "Alex, who are you?" He frowned, confused. "What do you mean? I'm your husband." "That's not what I'm asking." She pushed the printed article across the table toward him. "I found this today." Alex's face didn't change, but his entire body tensed, a reaction so small most people wouldn't notice, but Emma did. She pressed on. "Nicholas Hale, he disappeared 10 years ago. The resemblance is uncanny, don't you think?" He let out a short, forced laugh. "Emma, this is crazy. You're reading too much into things." Her frustration boiled over. "Stop lying to me. You never talk about your past. You disappear at odd hours. You get calls in the middle of the night. And now this? A missing billionaire's son who looks exactly like you?" She stood up, her voice shaking. "I deserve the truth." Alex's jaw tightened. He glanced at the article again, then met her gaze. "You're overthinking, Em. I'm not some long-lost billionaire's son. Do you really think I'd keep something like that from you?" "Yes," she shot back, "because you are keeping something from me. I can feel it." For a moment, neither of them spoke. The silence stretched between them, thick with tension. Finally, Alex sighed and rubbed the back of his neck. "Look," he said, softer this time. "I've made mistakes. There are things in my past I don't like talking about, but that doesn't change what we have now." He reached for her hand, but she pulled away. "That's not good enough," she whispered. Alex's eyes darkened. "Emma, let it go." Her stomach twisted. He wasn't just avoiding the truth, he was warning her. She realized then that she had two choices: believe his words and pretend nothing was wrong, or keep digging. She already knew which choice she would make, because Alex, or Nicholas, was hiding something, and she was going to find out what. The big reveal. Emma had always trusted her instincts, and right now they were screaming at her. Alex, Nicholas, was hiding something huge, and she was done waiting for answers. That night, when Alex told her he had a late meeting and kissed her goodbye, she made up her mind. As soon as the door shut behind him, she grabbed her coat and followed. She kept her distance, careful not to be seen as he walked briskly through the dimly lit streets. Instead of heading toward his supposed office, he took a different route, one that led out of their quiet neighborhood and into the city. Emma's pulse quickened. Where was he going? After nearly half an hour of weaving through back streets, Alex finally stopped outside an old abandoned warehouse. He glanced around cautiously before slipping inside. Emma hesitated only a moment before following. Inside, she hid behind a stack of crates, her breath shallow. She could hear voices, low, serious. Peeking out, her stomach clenched. Alex stood in the center of the room, surrounded by 3 men in dark suits. They looked important, powerful. One of them handed Alex a thick envelope, and in exchange, Alex gave him a small black folder. Emma strained to hear their conversation. "Are you sure it's all here?" one of the men asked. Alex nodded. "Every piece of evidence you need. Once this deal is done, I disappear for good." Disappear? Emma's hands shook. What was he involved in? The man flipped through the folder, nodded in approval, and gestured to another associate who handed Alex a phone. "Your new identity, offshore accounts, and clean records, just like last time." Last time? Emma felt her world tilting. This wasn't just a secret. This was an entire operation. Her husband wasn't just hiding from his past. He was orchestrating something far bigger than she had ever imagined. She had seen enough. Quietly, she backed toward the exit, but as she turned, her foot accidentally kicked a loose piece of metal. The clang echoed through the warehouse like a gunshot. The conversation stopped. "Who's there?" one of the men barked. Emma didn't wait to find out. She bolted toward the door, her heart hammering. "Emma?" Alex's voice was sharp, stunned. She heard footsteps behind her. He was chasing her. Tears blurred her vision as she burst onto the street. Her perfect, normal life had just shattered. And now she knew the truth. Alex wasn't just a man with a secret. He was a man running from something or someone far more dangerous than she had ever imagined. A dangerous game. Emma ran, her heart pounding in her chest. Behind her, she could hear Alex's footsteps closing in. "Emma, stop!" he called. She didn't. Not until he caught up to her, grabbing her wrist and spinning her around. His face was tense, his breathing heavy. "You weren't supposed to see that." Emma yanked her arm free. "Who are you, Alex?" Or should I say Nicholas? Alex flinched at the name, confirming everything she already knew. He looked around, making sure they were alone, then exhaled sharply. "You need to come with me, now." Emma crossed her arms. "Not until you tell me the truth." He hesitated, his jaw tightening. Then finally, he said the words that changed everything. "My real name is Nicholas Hale, and I used to be an intelligence agent." Emma's stomach dropped. "What?" "I worked for a covert branch of the government. I infiltrated criminal organizations, gathered intel, took down powerful people." His eyes darkened. "But then I saw something I wasn't supposed to, evidence of corruption at the highest levels. I tried to expose it, but my own agency turned on me. They put a bounty on my head, wiped me from their records, and made sure the world thought I was dead." Emma could barely process what she was hearing. "So you ran." Nicholas, nodded. "I disappeared, changed my name, built a new life." His voice softened. "With you." Emma shook her head. "And what was that tonight? More running?" He looked away. "I was buying our freedom. That folder held the last bit of intel I had, evidence against the people hunting me. I was going to trade it for a new identity, enough money to disappear for good." He met her eyes, desperation flickering in them. "For both of us." Emma's breath caught. "You were going to take me with you?" "I was trying to protect you, Emma." His voice broke slightly. "But now they know you're involved." A cold chill ran down her spine. "What does that mean?" Alex glanced around again, his posture tense. "It means we're out of time. They won't let us walk away. We need to leave, tonight." Emma's mind spun. Less than an hour ago, she thought her husband was just keeping an affair or a family secret. Now she was caught in a life-or-death game she didn't understand. She looked into Alex's eyes, so full of urgency, regret, and something else. Love. She had a choice: walk away from the man she married or trust him and step into the unknown. The distant roar of an approaching car made the decision for her. "Let's go," she whispered. Alex grabbed her hand, and together they ran into the night, straight into the dangerous world he had tried so hard to escape. On the run, the tires screeched against the pavement as a black SUV rounded the corner, its headlights slicing through the darkness. Emma's breath caught as Alex pulled her into a narrow alleyway, pressing her against the brick wall. "Stay close," he whispered. His grip on her hand was firm, steady, even as she felt her pulse hammering in her throat. The SUV slowed, its tinted windows rolling down just enough for a shadowed figure to glance out. Emma could feel the weight of their gaze, the silent confirmation that they were being hunted. Alex didn't wait. The moment the vehicle passed, he grabbed her wrist and took off running. They weaved through the streets, darting past late-night pedestrians and slipping into the maze of the city. Alex seemed to know exactly where to go, navigating side streets and cutting through abandoned lots with the precision of someone who had done this before. Emma struggled to keep up, her mind racing faster than her feet. This isn't real. This isn't my life. Just hours ago, she had been a woman with a normal marriage, a normal job, a normal world. Now, she was running for her life with a man she wasn't even sure she truly knew. They reached a dimly lit parking garage where Alex finally slowed, scanning the area before leading her toward a car, an unremarkable sedan tucked in the shadows. He pulled a set of keys from his pocket and unlocked the door. "You had this car ready?" Emma asked, breathless. "I've had it ready for months," Alex admitted, "just in case." That should have scared her, but instead, it told her just how deep this went. They climbed in, and Alex started the engine. "We need to get as far from here as possible before sunrise." Emma's hands clenched into fists. "Who are these people chasing us?" Alex's jaw tightened. "The people I used to work for, and the people I exposed. Both want me dead." Emma swallowed hard. "And me?" His grip on the wheel tightened. "Now that you know the truth, they won't let you go either." She exhaled shakily, staring out the window as the city lights blurred past. This wasn't just about Alex anymore. This was about survival. The car sped into the night, the past closing in behind them. Trust and betrayal. The road stretched endlessly before them, dark and empty, as Alex drove through the night. Emma sat in the passenger seat, arms crossed, mind racing. She had followed him, run with him, but now doubt crept in. She turned to him. "How do I know you're not lying to me?" Alex glanced at her, his hands gripping the wheel. "Emma, I've told you everything." She shook her head. "You told me what you wanted me to know. How do I know this isn't just another game? That I'm not just another cover story?" His jaw tightened. "You really think I would do that to you?" "I don't know what to think, Alex. You built our life on a lie, our marriage—" She hesitated, swallowing the lump in her throat. "Was it ever real?" He pulled the car over suddenly, skidding to a stop on the side of the deserted highway. The silence was thick between them as he turned to face her. "Look at me," he said, his voice low but intense. Emma hesitated before meeting his gaze. "I could have left," he said. "I could have disappeared before you ever found out, but I stayed, because you're the only real thing I have left." Her heart ached, but she couldn't let go of the doubt. "Then why didn't you tell me sooner?" "Because the moment you knew, you became a target." His voice cracked slightly. "And now they won't stop until we're both dead." Emma wanted to believe him, but trust wasn't something she could give freely anymore. Before she could respond, bright headlights flooded the car from behind. A second later, a gunshot rang out, shattering the back windshield. "Get down!" Alex shouted, shoving her head down as he hit the gas. The car lurched forward as bullets slammed into the trunk. Emma's fear evaporated, replaced by pure adrenaline. Alex swerved onto a side road, speeding toward the trees. "Hold on," he warned. The car skidded to a stop near a clearing. Alex threw open his door, grabbed something from under the seat, a gun. "Emma, listen to me," he said urgently. "You can run right now. Take the bag, disappear. You don't have to do this." She stared at him. Even now he was giving her an out. Then she thought about everything. The life they built, the lies, the danger. She had every reason to leave. But she didn't. Instead, she reached into the glove compartment and grabbed another gun, checking the safety like she'd seen in movies. Alex's eyes widened. "I'm not running," she said, voice steady. "Not without you." For the first time since this nightmare began, Alex smiled. It was small, fleeting, but real. He reached out, brushing a hand against her cheek. "I don't deserve you," he murmured. "Probably not," she admitted. "But here we are." The sound of approaching footsteps cut their moment short. Emma took a breath. She didn't know if she could ever fully trust Alex again, but right now she was willing to fight for him, for them. A new life. The safe house was quiet, hidden deep in the mountains, far from the chaos they had left behind. Emma stood by the window, watching the sun rise over a landscape untouched by their past. It had been 3 days since the explosion. 3 days since the world believed Alex Hale and Emma Carter were dead. She still couldn't believe they had pulled it off. The final confrontation had been brutal. A remote airstrip, a firefight, and a carefully placed explosive charge that engulfed their pursuers in flames. Alex had rigged the scene to make sure there were no bodies left to find, just enough remains to confirm their deaths. It was over. At least the life they once knew was. Behind her, Alex, or whatever name he would go by now, stepped into the room, setting down a bag of supplies. His hair was shorter, dyed darker. A new identity, just like hers. "You okay?" he asked softly. Emma turned to face him. She had asked herself that same question over and over. Was she okay? She had left behind everything. Her home, her friends, even her own name. She wasn't Emma Carter anymore. She wasn't the woman who worked at a bookstore, who dreamed of a quiet, simple life. That version of herself had died, along with their old identities. But she was alive, and she was with him. She took a deep breath. "I don't know who I am anymore." Alex stepped closer, his hand brushing against hers. "Then we figure it out together." She searched his eyes, once filled with secrets, now stripped bare. He had lied to her, dragged her into a world she never wanted to be part of. But he had also risked everything to save her, to keep her safe. She wasn't sure she could ever go back to who she was before, but maybe she didn't have to. Emma squeezed his hand. "Okay," she whispered. "A new life, a new beginning, and this time they would write their own story."